Saber's gear has been selling so fast, Lauk Sports has had to add extra shipments. At this point, they're just playing catch up. Progressives are saying we need to change with the times. But the traditionalists, they argue we should be following what Scripture says, which is why the church could be splitting up.
Parking is free after 5 and on Saturdays in other areas of the city, like on Hurdle and in the Elmwood Village.
Walking through a family video is like Total Recall. It reminds me of when I used to rent movies from the store. There's lots of new arrivals as well as nostalgic favorites, and the choices are incredible. Captain Ronaldo says that next week he should have a better idea of what a low-level or personal amount of marijuana is. I'm driving around Elmwood Village and Hurdle Avenue trying to find houses that are for sale, but I can't. That's because millennials are buying at an incredibly fast rate. What that legislation can be is unclear. Lawmakers will have to talk to the county attorney first. That means people could litter the sidewalks with scooters. This Cheektowaga vendor completely sold out of 2 crates this big.
I'm a mailman, I'm a letter carrier, I see a box, I want to put mail in it.
It's going to take a lot more than a state of emergency to stop U.S. postal worker Keith Pachalski.
Hi, how are you?
Okay, thank you.
Oh, you're welcome, have a good day.
Pachalski has been a mail carrier for 14 years, so he's used to walking in knee-high snow on Buffalo's east side.
I have some elderly people, you know, they have medicine they depend on and all that, and sometimes I'm the only person they'll see for a whole week.
Pachalski delivers to roughly 600 addresses a day. And even in cold conditions like this, he still tries to get to about all of them. Except today, his bosses did tell him, try to end your day early. And postal carriers aren't the only ones braving the blizzard.
You couldn't see your hand in front of your face. I've never been that scared in my entire life to drive in the snow, ever.
It was a white-knuckle ride for Jimmy Hartle, a delivery driver for Lenova.
Some people can't get out in this storm, so they can't go grocery shopping to feed their families, but this is the next best option that they have. Oh, man. I got a lot more coming for you.
Delivery drivers and postal workers are some of the few people still working despite whiteout conditions. Luckily, some of them are getting help along the way.
Would you like a ham and cheese sandwich?
I'll stop back later, thank you.
In Buffalo, James Groh, 7 Eyewitness News. Even though the new signs for the new downtown parking rules went up today, Buffalo Common Council President Darius Pridgeon released a resolution earlier this afternoon that would roll back on some of those laws, the ones that took effect today. Now, that resolution calls for keeping the hours of paid parking downtown exactly as they had been before, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. instead of what they became today, 7 a.m. to 10 at night. Pridgeon's resolution would also keep parking free on Saturdays. The part of the law that would remain would be the new hourly rate, which is doubled from $1 an hour to $2. 7 Eyewitness News caught up with the council president earlier this afternoon. Now, it's important to note that these laws are specifically for downtown Buffalo, so parking is free after 5 and on Saturdays in other areas of the city, like on Hurdle and in the Elmwood Village. In Buffalo, James Groh, 7 Eyewitness News.
Addictions and Open Access Hotline, this is Jenna speaking. How may I help you?
At Crisis Services Center in Buffalo, it's fighting drug addiction with the telephone as its weapon.
Can I ask, has he overdosed at all?
Jenna Larkin says she's answered around 2,500 calls since she started working there a few years ago. Crisis Services is an addiction and suicide prevention hotline open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. As the number of deadly opioid overdoses has dropped over the past 3 years in Erie County, employees say it feels like they've played an integral part in that.
A couple years ago, there wasn't a hotline or any other resource where folks could call to just get that information on what do I do? This is happening to my son or my daughter.
Their hotline received roughly 2,000 calls last year, or about 40 calls a week from people seeking help.
Is he interested or does he want to go to treatment?
That number has been steady over the past few years, although they do see spikes in calls when there are reports of multiple overdoses in a short period of time, like at the beginning of this year, when there were 9 overdoses in one weekend.
It could depend on the day, depend on what's also happening in the community. When there's a spike in maybe overdoses that has been reported on the news.
All calls to crisis services are completely confidential. If you want to find their number, you can go to our website, wkbw.com. In the newsroom, James Groh, 7 Eyewitness News.